And I keep telling myself, don't do it, but, you know, addiction just grabs you. So, I am addicted to buying Jeeps. So, you guys have probably seen my Comanche, done some builds on it and everything. It's out there. Haven't showed you my wagon. I got a 60s Willys wagon. I've been working on that. It's more or less just collecting dust and boxes on the top of it. It's got boxes full of hopes and dreams that I haven't opened yet. The YJ, a couple videos on the LSYJ, that's there. And here recently, I just got another Jeep. I've moved on into the 21st century, and I've got a 2012 JKU Rubicon. And so, I'm going to do a video on that. I am going to get this thing beefed up and ready for what I hope to be a Rubicon trip, either at the end of this year or 2025. But I need to beef this thing up and get some armor on it. So let's put on a Motobuilt crusher front bumper and get this thing a little bit more prepared for the trip in its upcoming future. So let's get going. So this bumper is kind of a two-piece setup. One is the actual bumper, and then you have your winch plate carriage, whatever you want to call it, where the winch will actually mount to. So it's a two-piece design. Along with doing that, you have to relocate the vacuum pump. So that is the bracket that comes from Motobuilt. And I'm going to kind of start with that first. I need to get this plastic piece off. And you can see somebody has already tried to do that before. So I'm going to drill out these washers and go to the next step so that I can get access to that vacuum pump. And number 2. So a 3/8 drill bit seemed to be just the right size to be able to pop that free, drill out enough of that meat so it come free. So now I should be able to snake this plate off. And let's do some prying. There we go, we'll go that way with it. How about that? Alright, now that that's off, we can get access to this pump. You can see it right there. Got a couple deep well bolts we need to get off. Just pull those. Now's a good time to go ahead and disconnect all these hoses and everything, because this is going to get relocated up to a fender well area with that bracket. And then I'm going to go ahead and let's pull off connectors for the fog lights and all the little clips. See, some of them are already off, but pull those off, and then it's just access to those bolts, which are tucked up way back there. So that's why I wanted to get the pump off first, just get better access to it. So let's pull all that. Out. And we're off. Alright, so that's out of the way. Now we can get to these bolts back here a little bit easier. Make sure you get all those little clips off going the whole length of the bumper, and the other connector for the fog light. Once all that is out of the way, electrical connections disconnected, you've got 2 bolts there, or 2 nuts rather. 2 nuts back there, you can see them. These are all 18 millimeter. Then you've got two on either side of the frame horn. So those need to be removed, and then the bumper will come off. So that can go away. Now we can make room for the first half of this winch bumper. Is going to be the cradle down here. And then to make that work, we've got to cut this bracket that held the pump on. So I'm going to take an angle grinder to this weld down here, and this one on this side, cut that off, and hopefully I can bend it and break the welds that are back there on that side of the bracket, because it's kind of hard to access that. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. And we'll be able to get this cradle bolted up, and you can see it's got the cutout for the electronic sway bar disconnect, so shouldn't have to do anything with that. Yeah, it came out in 3 pieces. So you can see the main body right here. I would set up against it. Cut this little leg off right there, so that way I could kind of get some leverage on it. Because once I cut that free, then I could take this and bend it back and forth, and it popped off. So got that cut, smoothed down. You know, that little tab is hanging out, but that's okay. No one's going to see it back there. So now time to mount up the cradle. Alright, so I got the cradle in there. Let me kind of show you what we have to do. So this plate, this C-channel, is going to wrap around all the metal on this. So you gotta kind of force it into place. And that'll sit on the outside of that and the outside of that. So kind of experimenting with this side here. This flag nut, you know, when they give you flag nut, it's going to be a pain to get to. That was pretty straightforward, easy to access. Got that one. You're supposed to drop another one of the flag nuts down through this opening and secure it with that bolt. So what I found was easiest for me is to kind of reach my hand underneath here, down there, drop the flag nut, hold that, and then with the other hand tighten up that bolt. So that was one hurdle. Then over here on this one, that bolt that they give you is a little bit too long, that it'll actually come in contact with the frame inside of there. So I had to stack 2 more washers, so I got a total of 3 washers on that. So that way when you torque this down, the end of that bolt doesn't dig into the frame itself. So probably could have used a shorter bolt, but I had washers and I didn't have a shorter bolt, so I made it happen. So now I just need to repeat that on the other side over here. Got it held in place with a clamp for the time being, kind of makes it easier so I'm not fumbling around holding it, but now just bolt it up and the cradle will be done. Alright, so I got that side all taken care of, mounted up, cradle's tightened down, winches in place, and I kind of slid this bumper in just to double check what needs to be cut and trimmed. As you can see, that needs to slide back a few more inches, about 3, and that needs to go away. So if you need to cut that flush with this crash bar right here, so this needs to come back off, cut that off on either side, and then we should be good to go. That should be the last bit of modification for the bumper portion, and then tighten all the bolts down. So you got 1 bolt right there, another one over there, and then down inside here, of course, 2. You're basically replacing what was originally there on the stock bumper. Alright, crash bar is cut, bumper cover is on. Push it back basically till you can see those threaded fittings. Now you can get in there and bolt on those. That, kind of see the area that I cut out. And those are the pieces I cut off. Like I said, not a whole lot, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. Pretty close tolerances there. And it is snug, snug, snug. So now it's just tying up the loose ends. Need to wire up the winch, of course. I'm going to skip that for the time being because we're just putting on the bumper. I do need to get shorter bolts for that. So kind of the same issue. They bottomed out right there and it's touching the frame, so I'm gonna get a shorter bolt for this one. Not the Winch one they gave me. I'm not gonna stack a bunch of washers on here because that's gonna look ghetto. So a couple bolts there and it'll be good to go. And then again, just tie up some loose ends up here. We need to look at the vacuum pump relocation. So if you recall, that vacuum pump was down there by the bumper. We took it off. 2 hoses were connected to it, your intake and that right there. This will not get connected anymore. This one will. So what you'll do is you'll take that hose fitting off the bottom where you disconnected. Originally it was connected right here. So pull that off from down below. You need the hose and you need this check valve. And this is going to connect back up to here. And the check valve will end up connecting to this hose here. And this hose is kind of stuffed behind this right here. Behind your radiator hose, you pull this out. This is connected with a coupling. Disconnect it. This hose can stay or you can remove it, whatever you want to do. It's not used anymore. Now you'll connect this up to here. Your plumbing will be done at that point in time, and you just got to extend that electrical. So you need to grab the plug from down there and route the wires up to here. And it's not going to be long enough, so Motobuilt gives you a wiring kit, a couple butt connectors. That's really all you're doing. Cutting the connector off down there, extending the wires, and then plug in that same plug into here. So that's it. Hope you guys got something out of it. Not that hard of a job as long as you know what to expect, you know where to grab these hoses. It took me a little bit while to source where this was, and yeah, that's about it. So catch you later, guys.